Today in Question Time, Anthony Albanese was accused of being deceptive and failing to answer the questions of millions of Australians on The Voice. This off the back of weeks of sheer treaty obfuscation. Now, how did the Prime Minister respond? Well, he denounced Voice opposition not as scaremongering, which we've heard before, or Trumpian, which we've heard before, or as racist reconciliation wrecking. No. He's got a new one. Today, he condemned all of this as a conspiracy theory. Have a look.
It is something that has been out there, like a whole lot of the QAnon theories. We have all sorts of conspiracy stuff out there, but this is a ripper. That is the Uluru Statement from the Heart on an A4 bit of paper. Nothing exposes the falseness of the arguments being put by the No campaign than this conspiracy theory and nonsense. They're struggling to get their scares straight. I mean, what role did Marcia Langton play in the faking of the moon landing, Mr Speaker? There's a whole lot of projection going on here, Mr Speaker. More projection than a film festival.
Well, the Deputy Opposition Leader, Susan Ley, joins me now on the program. Susan, first of all, I have reported on this longer form of the Uluru Statement before for the Daily Telegraph. Other people have been talking about it. The document itself doesn't come from some bizarro website. It was released by the National Indigenous Australians Authority under Freedom of Information. It seems absolutely crazy to me that they are running from this now, don't you think?
That's exactly right, James. And what you just played is evidence that the Prime Minister is running a mile from the things that he said he believed in only 12 months ago. And on coming into government, the things he said he would do, the promises he made. We all know about all of the broken promises when it comes to cost of living. But my goodness, we're seeing broken promises writ large when it comes to the issues of The Voice, because the questions that we're asking, and to sit there today and see the Prime Minister laugh and make fun of our backbenchers asking questions. The people they represent are entitled to the answers. The people they represent from all corners of this country are asking the questions in good faith, because Australians, of course, are approaching this with goodwill, but we are not getting any answers at all. We're being mocked, we're being jeered at. I mean, I've got a thick skin. We've all got a thick skin. That's not the point. The point is the detail's not there, and the inconsistency is just beyond anything that, as you say, you've ever even encountered.
Well, and I mean, Susan Ley, this is really where it comes down to, this question of detail. The Prime Minister loves to say that it's just this one A4 piece of paper that the Uluru Statement, can fit on. But then there is this much longer document which talks about reparations and sovereignty, and it's full of very sort of grievance-monger type language. And he's denying that this exists. But I need to ask you about this here, because Megan Davis, law professor and one of the authors of The Voice, she's endorsed this in the past. And let me quote to you from her 2018 Henry Parkes oration, where she said, quote, "The Uluru Statement from the Heart isn't just the first one-page statement. It's actually a very lengthy document of about 18 to 20 pages, and a very powerful part of this document reflects what happened in the dialogue," unquote. And then she went on to talk about material not in that A4 piece of paper, but in the much longer document that the Prime Minister is denying exists. So the question for you, Susan Ley, is Albo a conspiracy theorist, or is respected legal academic and voice architect Megan Davis the conspiracy theorist here?
Well, I take issue with the Prime Minister and his incompetence, and the incompetence of his Minister for Indigenous Australians. He was waving that one A4 piece of paper today. He refused to allow us to table the full statement that you've just referred to. And then, as you saw, he jeered and mocked and called us conspiracy theorists instead of actually answering the questions. You know, James, if I was someone who wanted to vote yes, I would be really disappointed in this Prime Minister and his Minister for Indigenous Australians, because I would want them to stand there in the Parliament of Australia in full public view, in question time, and answer the questions we're asking fight for what they believe in, have the courage of their convictions, and actually make the case. Instead, they're running a mile, they're full of inconsistencies, and I think 3 times today we said, does the Prime Minister believe in a Commonwealth treaty? And it's quite a reasonable question to ask, and of course he knows that if he says yes, the next question will be, so what does that mean? What does that look like? How much does that cost? We already know there's $57 million allocated in the budget towards the Makarrata, but we also want to know what that has actually been spent on. We know there's nearly $22 million in the contingency reserve. That's another budget allocation also towards the Makarrata. What is it for? What's it being spent on? What are the public servants that are employed by us, the taxpayers, working on right now with respect to that funding? None of it is being explained.